Webster defines crunch time as a critical moment or period, like the end of a game, when decisive action is needed. Every sports fan knows this time in the game. Your palms sweat just a little more, your heart races just a little bit faster, and you live and die with every play until the final seconds tick off the clock and you're either celebrating a victory or disappointed by the defeat. The team at Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network understands just how critical these moments are. For us, it begins as soon as the next set of games are on the board. We evaluate the opening lines and any breaking news throughout the week. We cover each game inside and out, whether it's from inside the locker room to a huddle down on the field, the court, or the ice. We take you inside the meeting room with scouts, coaches, and executives. We have our fingers on the pulse of all the sports that we cover: the National Hockey League, NBA, college basketball, college football, and the National Football League. We are the Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network, and we're here to help you find your sports advantage. After all the data has been crunched, we then turn it over to Kenneth for the best analysis around. His unique perspective in both understanding the data and how it applies to the game and how you win is the Crunch Time Sports Advantage. Are you ready? The Crunch Time Jet is fueled and ready for takeoff, and the Crunch Time Express is about to leave the station. Your VIP pass has been approved, so all aboard.
And folks, for the first time in over 6 weeks, my voice has permitted me to be back here and doing the big show. Fantastic job to all of our team, the young guns behind the scenes doing a great job. As you can see on the screen, if you're watching this on our Twitter feed at Crunch Time VIP or our YouTube channel at Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network. If you're listening on the podcast, you just heard Tina go through the numbers of what the young guns are doing. The big fella still got it going at almost a 79% clip. Folks, that means if you're rolling with us, you are profitable. So let's get down to it. Jessica, Summer, great job on the lead in. Safe travels as you head to your respective games that you'll be covering this weekend. Billy, as always, fantastic job with the numbers. Tina, if you're at Command Central, go ahead and hit me with a little bit of headbanging music there to just kind of get me rolling. All right, let's get this thing rolling with our first game of the weekend, and we will be heading down to beautiful Denton, Texas. I'm sorry, we'll be heading over to, I'm sorry, Colorado Springs in our salute to service as our first contest will see the Army Black Knights take on the Air Force Falcons. And folks, these games always mean so much to me because I get to honor, especially in this matchup, my late father John and my late uncle Wes. Wes served in the Air Force for over 35 years. Pops served in the Army for over 33 years. So I'll get to you here in just a minute here, Uncle Edward. But in this matchup, folks, when we're talking about Service Academy games and the Commander in Chief trophy being at stake, we throw out the records because truly these games are always high intensity and high motivation. So, all right, so let's go ahead and jump into this matchup. Big time motivation here as we talk about the Commander in Chief trophy. Um, Army not having the same success that they had last season, and Air Force certainly struggling this year, but both teams still have a chance to get bowl eligible. So a win in this game will absolutely be very pivotal for both teams in this contest. As you heard, the key storylines: Commander-in-Chief trophy stakes, Service Academy pride is at stake, and what we're going to see is a little bit of clash in old school um, Service Academy philosophy here, as both teams like to run the ball over 80% historically. So let's see if that holds true in this matchup. Both teams are fresh off of a bye, so no situational advantage to either team as far as a rest standpoint goes. And when I look at this matchup, let's go ahead and start right there with the Army offense going up against this Air Force defense. Army's offense comes in ranked 54th for us overall as far as the scoring goes. Air Force defense, surprisingly, still ranked 27th, despite some of the scoring fests that they've been involved in the past couple of weeks. You know what you can expect from Army. They're going to run the ball as they come in as our power ranked 9th rushing offense, going up against one of the poorest rush defenses in the Air Force Falcons, 110th in that data point. Explosive rush matchup for Army. As far as the pass game, Army 135 out of 136 teams, going up against 101st ranked pass defense for Air Force. So no big advantage there. As far as tempo goes, we know that Army is going to be heavy ground attack, trying to keep that clock moving, sustaining drives, which will be key, as 52% of their drives end either with a touchdown or field goal. Be aware of that data point as this game is going on. Now, let's flip that over when the Air Force Falcons have the ball going up against that Army defense. Air Force also has an elite scoring offense as they come in as one of our top 10 scoring offense, going up against a Army scoring defense that ranks just inside of the top 100, coming in at 97. So we're going to give an edge in the scoring category for Air Force in that category. As far as the the rush offense for Air Force, coming in as a top 20 unit for us. Army rush defense still strong as they rank 40th. So we're going to give a slight ground advantage in this matchup to Air Force. And then finally, passing game is where we see Air Force kind of deviate from what we see traditionally from service academies as they come in with the 51st power ranked passing game in college football for us using our data. Army comes in with a equally solid defense through the air, coming in ranked 52nd. So we're going to say that's an even matchup in that metric. As far as key stats and X factors for this game goes, both teams come in hot from an ATS standpoint. Both teams in their last three contests come in at 2-1 ATS. So phenomenal thing there. We talked about it. That altitude up in Colorado Springs could have some impact on Army, especially late in the game. But since Army is also coming off of a bye, think that may be a little bit mitigated in this contest. Let's give you the keys to victory for each team in this contest. Let's start with the visiting team, the Army Black Knights. For Army, key number one, they must dominate early down rushing versus this Air Force poor rush defense. As I mentioned, coming in ranked 110th using our metrics. Key number two for Army, they must stay on schedule. Third down conversion, avoiding negative plays on early downs to keep that third down attempt either third and short or at worst case, third and medium. And then finally, win high leverage fourth down conversion attempts, extend drives, and finish with touchdowns as 38.2 of their drives do end with a touchdown. For the Air Force Falcons, leverage that elite scoring offense to stress this Army below average scoring defense. Key number two, maintain discipline versus option looks, which they get a chance to work on throughout the year because this is similar to some of the offense that they run. Force Army into passing downs And then key number 3 for Air Force, maximize red zone efficiency and limit Army's fourth down gambles. I think that this is going to be a very highly contested ball game coming up here, and I honestly cannot wait for this matchup. And in our second game that will feature the third of our service academies is my beloved Navy midshipmen. They will be heading to Denton, Texas to take on the North Texas team there. And first of all, let me say to my Uncle Ed, who of my dad's siblings is the only one that's still with us. So Uncle Ed, if you're listening to this, want to say a quick I love you, and I will be talking to you later on this weekend. So thank you for your service, as all of our servicemen and women, past, present, and future, will do. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And for all of you who may not know, Ed served over 34 years in the Navy. I did 4 years, and then proceeded to go on with a different part of my career. So let's get into this matchup here with North Texas and Navy. And this game is very important, as first place is potentially on the line in the American Conference. As it currently sits, these teams, using our power crunch time playoff rankings, sit first and fourth in the American Conference. Possibly winner of this conference getting that automatic bid into the college football playoffs as a group of 6 winner. Motivation, you better believe it. Must-win motivation for Navy. Spoiler opportunity for North Texas. So let's get into this matchup here. And I'm going to start a little bit differently with this contest. Let's start talking about these two head coaches, as I think both of these head coaches are doing a really solid job at their respective jobs right now. Brian Newberry, head coach of Navy, come in ranked 34th among active head coaches for us since the 2023 season. 21 wins, 10 losses. Very solid job there, and we know the fantastic job that he did last year. Eric Morris, head coach for North Texas, comes in as our 47th ranked head coach with a record of 18-14, 56 win percentage, doing a very solid job getting that program to stabilize here in 2025. Both teams treat going for it both head coaches look at being aggressive on fourth downs completely different. Navy's head coach, very conservative here. I shouldn't say very conservative, but conservative as far as going for it on fourth downs, while North Texas, ultra aggressive going for it on fourth downs. Now, conversion rates on fourth downs, different story. Navy, elite this season going for it on fourth downs, while North Texas, above average, we would say. Now, as far as the run-pass ratio or style of play that each team likes to play, Navy is all about that ground and pound, as most service academies will be. 77% run, while North Texas, pretty balanced. We'll say a slight lean to the pass here, as they run the ball about 49% of the time. So a little bit more balance there. Now, something that we introduced this year from a metric standpoint is looking at your record and then what is your deserved record. And what we see from Navy comes in undefeated at 7-0. But however, we're looking at a team that has a deserved record of 4-3. So 3 wins that we would label very, very lucky. um, thus far in the season. While North Texas comes in with a 7-1 record. They also have a record in the deserved record category of 7-1. So we feel like their record is a little bit more true than what Navy's is. And if you go back and look really quickly at Navy's games that we said were extremely lucky, you look at the Rice game back towards the end of September, able to pull that game out 21-13, and then of course beating Air Force 34-31, and then just a few weeks ago beating Temple 32-31. So that's how we come up with that number. Very important when you're handicapping and breaking down these teams is you look at how many of their wins were lucky or how many of their losses were heartbreaking, very narrow losses, and then how does that project as far as the breakdown. Now, is this a potential look ahead spot with Notre Dame on the horizon for Navy? Possibly, but considering what's at stake as far as the conference and a potential playoff bid, I don't think that Navy is going to be overlooking North Texas in this contest. Now, let's get to the matchup here, and let's start with the scoring offense for Navy. Navy's offense has been very elite at scoring. Same can be said about North Texas. Both of these teams rank within our top 10 from an offensive standpoint. Opponent scoring, both teams struggle to keep their opponents out of the end zone. So not even forcing opponents to kick field goals, usually giving up the full 7 there. Something to keep in mind. We talked about the rushing offensive ranking tiers. Navy comes in as the 26th best rushing attack for us, while North Texas 52nd. As far as rush defense goes, Navy comes in with a strong rush defense, while North Texas rush defense one of the poorest in the nation. That is something to keep in mind. As far as pass defenses go, Navy has the worst pass defense in all of Division I college football using our metrics, while North Texas, one of the elite passing offenses there. So potential matchup problem there. As far as pass defenses go, Navy and North Texas pass defense, and I'm sorry, those numbers were for their pass offense if I didn't make that clear. As far as their pass defense goes, both teams rank either strong or elite against the pass. Now, as far as looking at some of our advanced data, and we're going to give some of those numbers out here. Both offenses average, when we adjust out their points per game, both teams average over 34 points per game. Both teams average over 6 yards per play in offense, and both teams are converting third downs at least 41% or better. As far as their defenses go, both teams giving up within the same number here. So when we adjust it out, Navy is at about 26 points per game. North Texas is about 29 points per game. So you can kind of see why the betting market likes this game to be a little bit high scoring here, because both defenses give up big chunks per play. Navy giving up almost 7 yards per play. North Texas, 5 yards per play. And both teams struggle to get their opponents off the field on third downs. Navy's opponents converting third downs at 66%, while North Texas not much better at 54%. And both teams, as I mentioned, their opponents find the end zone at a high regularity, over 27% for both teams as far as what their opponents' drives ending with a touchdown percentage is. That is not good whatsoever. So we kind of went through some of the matchups there. I'm just gonna kind of kind of sum up the matchup signals here a little bit differently. North Texas wants to be up tempo, a lot of plays, getting things going at a very fast pace. For Navy, a little bit more deliberate as far as what they're trying to accomplish there. As far as the run pass matchup here goes, Navy should be able to exploit that North Texas run defense, while North Texas should have a slight passing edge when their offense is on the field. So, something to keep in mind here. Now, from an ATS and momentum standpoint, Navy 0-3 ATS in their last three contests, while North Texas 2-1 ATS in their last three contests. Our model, looking at it, expects a very, very close game here. So let me give the keys here for Navy in this contest. Navy must find a way to keep pace of this contest. And what do I mean by that? Navy has to find a way to present this ball game in a manner to where they're able to control not only the flow of the contest, but keeping that North Texas team off of the field. Second key for Navy in this contest, they're going to have to manage third and fourth down situations in this contest. And what I'm looking for Navy to be is a little bit more aggressive on fourth downs, because they know that they're going to probably need anywhere from 30 to maybe even 35 points in this contest to win. So that's something that I would absolutely keep in mind there. And then the third key I'm looking at for Navy is they have to find a way to get North Texas off the field on third downs at a much better rate. For North Texas, their offense has to stay on schedule. You're talking about an offense that puts up over 35 points per game in this contest. I think that they're going to need all 35 of those points and then some. Second key for me will be, can North Texas slow down this Navy ground attack? It will be absolutely imperative for North Texas to make sure that Navy can't go on one of those long service academy drives where it's 10 plays, eating up 8-9 minutes off of the clock, and keeping that North Texas offense on the sidelines, kind of getting cold and getting out of rhythm. And then final key is for North Texas, stay with what works. Run your high tempo offense and make sure that you're applying pressure on Navy's offense by putting up points at the end of each drive. Be careful going for it on fourth downs, North Texas, but make sure that you're continuously getting points on each and every drive. All right, as the ladies mentioned it earlier in the open, it is truly now time for the win or go home segment, and we're going to head to beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah for our first of these four almost true elimination matchup contests coming up this weekend. In our first contest, we will see the Cincinnati Bearcats head to Salt Lake City to take on the Utah Utes. Weather may not be a factor, but the altitude there in Salt Lake will absolutely be. You combine that with an early start time, body clock wise for Cincinnati, could be something that we'll be talking about towards the end of this contest. So, our Crunch Time Sports Advantage playoff rankings have the Bearcats coming in at number 19, third in the Big 12, while the Utah Utes come in just outside of the top 25 at number 28, fifth in the Big 12. Now, it's been 40 days as we're recording this since Cincinnati had their last bye. This team could be extremely fatigued going into this contest. While Utah, 26 days as of this recording, so moderate fatigue there. So advantage as far as the rest goes, advantage Utah. Travel disadvantage to Utah as they are playing this game at home. And then that venue edge, that altitude edge could be something that plays in the favor of Utah. Let's start with the team profiles here. Cincinnati Bearcats, 7-1 record. We have them with a record that should be deserved at 5-3, 3-0 in their last three contests. This team plays a very slow tempo, about 61 plays per game, 55% run, 45% pass. The Utah Utes come in with a 6-2 record. However, we have them with a 6-2 deserved record. So their record a little bit more truer than what Cincinnati is for us in this contest. 2-1 in their last three contests. Utah likes to play a little bit more up tempo, about 74 plays per game, 58% run to 42% pass. Now, let's get into the matchup here with the Cincinnati Bearcat offense going up against that Utah defense. Scoring wise, scoring offense, we are looking at Utah with, and pardon me just a moment while I pull that back up here because I seem to be just a little bit off key with that metric here. Kind of been a little out of practice with these, so bear with me one moment while I get that pulled up here. All right, perfect. There we go. All right, so Utah, we're looking at, as I mentioned, a team that likes to play a little bit more up tempo. And when we break down the scoring offense for Cincinnati, we're looking at an offense that ranks 40th in scoring offense in our metrics, while Utah's offense 106th. So kind of struggling there. But when we look at the run game, and I think this is going to be absolutely key here, Cincinnati rush offense comes in ranked 88th, while the Utah rushing defense is one of the better stop units in college football. So you're talking about a rush defense that comes in top 10 there. So we expect a tough ground game for Cincinnati in this matchup. Passing game, Cincinnati ranks 86th, while Utah's pass defense comes in ranked 19th when we adjust out their metrics there. So we expect the Cincinnati offense to have a very difficult time putting together offense in this contest. Flipping it over when Utah has the ball, going up against this Bearcat defense. Now, Our scoring metrics have Utah as the 106th best scoring offense. That's despite them having a raw 35.1 points per game with that pace. That's something to bear in mind there as we get through this contest. And you're talking about a Utah rushing offense with Dampier seemingly to be in full strength here, coming in 47th. But that Cincinnati rush defense, led by the Godfather, Corleone, comes in as the fifth best rushing attack. So we think that Utah could find some struggles on the ground as well. And then you're talking about a passing offense for Utah coming in ranked 88th, going up against a very, very good pass defense in Cincinnati as they come in as a top 20 unit. Let's get into some of the X factors here. As both teams are really successful of ending drives with scores, both teams well over 50% of their drives ending with either a touchdown or a field goal in this contest. As far as third downs go, Cincinnati's offense about a 40% conversion rate, while Utah's defense 36%. Utah's offense converts at a 57% rate on third down. Cincinnati defense allows their opponents to convert almost 60% on third downs. That is going to be something that is going to be a big time watch in this ball game. We talked about the altitude and fatigue compounding factors in the second half. Keep an eye on this game. I would give you this stat for the first half. Just check at halftime the number of offensive plays that the Utah Utes have on offense. If that number is in the 30s, that's something to bear in mind as this game moves to the second half. Now, as far as the coaching breakdown goes a little bit like this. Cincinnati head coach Scott Satterfield, been one of the interesting head coaches since 2023. He comes in as our 79th ranked active head coach with a 47% win percentage over that period. In one-score games, he absolutely struggles. 31% win percentage there in one-score contest. Now, he's absolutely turned that around here in 2025 as he's gone with a 67% win percentage in one-score games this year. Still a little bit non-aggressive going for it on fourth downs. That may be something to keep in mind in this contest. While Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham comes in ranked as our 43rd head coach since the 2023 season and is still active with a win percentage over that period of 59%. Weak under pressure tag for sure. What we've seen for Coach Whittingham this season, a little bit more aggressive going forward on fourth downs. Top 25 in that metric. Also, his team has been very reliable in converting in fourth down. So we're going to say a significant edge to Utah in the coaching realm. So let's give you the keys to victory for both teams here. Cincinnati must win early down success rate on first and second down. Must keep that third down below 6 in this contest. 3rd and 6 or less will absolutely be optimum for Cincinnati in this contest. Still a possession or two. Onside kick, going for it on fourth down will absolutely be something that Cincinnati might want to look at, especially early in this ball game. And Cincinnati must hit an explosive play or two before that fatigue starts to settle in. So getting a lead early in this contest will absolutely be massive for Cincinnati in this contest. For Utah, keep up a fast pace is key number one. Lean heavy on that defense on third downs. Keep the rotation going at the altitude. Got to protect field position. And finally, press run fits to force third and long against the Cincinnati Bearcat team. I think if Utah is able to do that, we'll see if they're able to come out on top in this contest. In our next win or go home contest is where we find the USC Trojans taking on the Nebraska Cornhuskers in this matchup. Big time news out of Nebraska as Matt Rhule just signed a 2-year extension as he will not be a candidate for the Penn State head coaching job. So wanted to get that out there before we got into this matchup. The stakes are clear. With both teams having 2 losses on their resume already, loser is out. When we look at our crunch time playoff rankings in the Big Ten, USC sits at number 7 for us. Nebraska sits at number 8. Both teams just outside of the top 25. If USC comes in as our 31st team, Nebraska 35th. Bowl motivations absolutely on the table for both teams. Let's take a look because this has absolutely been talked about in a lot of different places. You're talking about a USC team under Lincoln Riley who struggles to win games in the Central or Eastern time zone. Matt Rhule has absolutely not been what Nebraska fans and boosters have expected since taking over there. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's talk about the fatigue advantage here because that is something that is absolutely a part of our evaluation in this contest. USC fresh off of their bye week, while Nebraska, it's been over 33 days as of this recording since they've had a bye week. So USC definitely coming into this game a little bit more rested. Now, we know the travel disadvantage that I just mentioned for USC. As far as the team profile goes, USC comes in with a 5-2 record with a deserved record of 4-3. So one of those wins, we definitely feel like USC was absolutely fortunate to win. And as far as Nebraska, 6-2 on the season, but with a deserved record of 4-4. So we feel like USC's record just a little bit more true than what Nebraska is coming into this contest. All right, let's start with the USC Trojan offense going up against that Nebraska, no longer the black shirts defense. USC scoring wise coming into this contest, when we talk about our 3 E's, how explosive, how effective, and how efficient a unit is, USC ranks number 1 in explosiveness, number 1 in efficiency, and number 6 in effectiveness. Overall, an elite offense. Nebraska's defense in those 3 E's, wow. Efficiency, 28th. Effectiveness, 40th. Big time, and I do mean big time advantage in those 3 E's goes to USC. When we look at a run pass breakdown, the Trojan offense ranks 35th. Make sure I'm looking at that right here. That is correct. And so 35th rushing attack for the Trojan based on our metrics. While you're looking at a rush defense for Nebraska at 89th in our metrics. So could USC exploit this contest as far as being able to ground up that Nebraska rush defense? Potentially. Now, as far as the passing game goes, USC comes in with the 15th rated passing offense. And Nebraska comes in with a strong pass defense. We have them um, with a pass defense in the top 35. So we're going to give a slight passing edge there to USC. As far as down to down goes, especially when we get to third down, USC phenomenal on third downs at over 53%, while Nebraska's third down defense only allowing their opponents 27% conversion on third down. So it will be very important for USC to maintain down and distance there to convert a high rate on third downs. As far as Nebraska's offense going up against USC defense, wow, okay. Again, we see some advantages here in those three E's for Nebraska. 24th in explosive offense, 4th in effectiveness, and 5th in efficiency. USC defense struggling. We'll just put it that way. We're going to give a slight advantage to Nebraska in this category. As far as the run game goes, Nebraska comes in with the 7th best rushing attack, and they're going up against a rush defense here that is one of the poorest units in college football, as USC ranks outside of the top 100 as far as a run defense goes. Now, as far as the passing offense, Nebraska comes in with our 6th best passing attack, but they're going up against a very strong USC pass defense coming in ranked 41st for us in that metric. So will likely be that Nebraska will need to lean heavy on the ground game. As far as finishing drives, Nebraska drives ending with a score. And this is quite impressive. 75% of their drives are ending with either a touchdown or field goal. Quite impressive there. While the Trojan defense has actually been quite stingy. Only 31% of their opponent's drives are ending with either a touchdown or a field goal. So a little bit better defense than what some of the raw data may be suggesting there. As far as coaching matchups, you're talking about two head coaches that absolutely have been a little bit disappointing, to say the least here. You look at Lincoln Riley, who comes in as our 51st ranked head coach, while Matt Rhule comes in at 69th. Lincoln's record since the 2023 season, regular season only, 18-13, 58 win percentage there, while Matt Rhule, 17-15, 53%. Somehow Matt Rhule was able to parlay that into a 2-year contract extension. Boy, it must be good to be king. All right, keys to victory for Trojans. Lean into their rushing advantage versus that Huskers rush defense. Key number 2, stay ahead of the sticks and neutralize that Nebraska strong third down defense. Key number 3, avoid late game execution errors in potential one-score game scenarios. Finally, for Nebraska, attack on the ground early to control the pace of this game. We talked about their rushing advantage as well. Finish trips inside of the red zone with touchdowns and not field goals in this ball game. I think you're going to need to score in this contest to keep up with USC. And then finally, leverage that home field advantage, that scheduling edge that we talked about, and apply pressure on USC and force them into third and long situations. I think if Nebraska is able to do that, this game could absolutely be a very tight contest as we get into the fourth quarter. In our next contest, we will head down to Austin, Texas, and we find the Texas Longhorns welcoming in the red hot Vanderbilt Commodores in this contest. Now, we saw this matchup last season here in my backyard in Nashville, and it was an extremely tight contest. You heard Jessica mention that potential rain. Now, we're not expecting a heavy rain, so right now the forecast is calling for a light rain and a light breeze in this contest. Both teams are in our top 25 as far as the Crunch Time Sports Advantage playoff rankings. The Commodores come in ranked number 7, 5th team in the Southeastern Conference. Texas, 14th, 8th in the SEC in that metrics. While these teams aren't rivals, they could potentially become that way if these teams continue to square off in these tightly contested matchups. Now, fatigue factor. Vandy, as of this recording, 19 days since their last bye week. Texas, even more so, 33 days since their bye week. Now, revenge angle for Vanderbilt as they lost a bitter 27-24 contest at home, looking to return the favor there in Austin. Now, let's get to the team profiles. Starting with the Vanderbilt Commodores. Vanderbilt, as I mentioned, comes in with that 7-1 record. We feel like they have a deserved record of 5-3. 2 of those victories definitely for us fall into the lucky category. If you look at that game just last week against Missouri, very close contest there. Able to pull out a 17-10 win, but when you look at from a game script and a way that game played out, Vandy was absolutely fortunate to win that game. Also, a couple of weeks ago, also at home, Vandy was able to pull out a very hard-fought 31-24 win. Our metrics said that game was even more of a coin toss than that 7-point margin there. So something to keep in mind in this contest. ATS-wise, in the last 3 games, Vanderbilt comes in 2-1. Now, tempo-wise, Vandy does not like to run up tempo under head coach Clark Lea. Only about 60 plays per game. Now, when we look at the home Texas Longhorns, 6-2 record, and we also feel like they deserve a record of 6-2, and that is despite winning 2 games in overtime and having to come from behind in both of those contests. ATS-wise, Texas still remains hot as far as ATS goes, but absolutely needs to be on their P's and Q's. And as Summer said in the lead-in, you're talking about a team that's been channeling their inner BGs while they're just trying to stay alive at this point. A little bit more up-tempo, about 67 plays per game. So something to keep in mind. Let's start with the head coaches here because I feel like I can't overlook the coaching matchup here. So since 2023, head coach Clark Lea comes into this contest as our 71st ranked head coach. Despite that fantastic season last year and off to a red hot season this year, still 15-17 win percentage there, while Steve Sarkisian comes in as our 7th ranked coach with a mark of 31-7, including college football playoff games in that number there. Texas holds a macro advantage in that number, especially in big games, because we've seen Sark just find a way to get it done just a little bit more so than Clark Lea. But make no mistake, Clark Lea has been erasing some of that this year because as we look at the data from this season, both of these coaches are inside of our top 5 as far as the coaching rankings go for this season. Clark Lee right now sits as our tell you what, give me just a second. I can see exactly where Clark Lee and Sark rank as far as head coaches go for this season. Yeah, so both of these head coaches rank inside of the okay, so we have Steve Sarkisian as our oh wow. No, Sark has actually struggled as um his team has struggled this year. 66 this year. Clark Lee, wow, even no, I was looking at pace. I do apologize for that. Okay, so looking at the rankings here, Clark Lee is the 11th ranked head coach um, this season, and Steve Sarkisian, with this team having some really late game struggles there, 31st this season. So that is something to bear in mind as far as how these coaches are performing this season. Now, let's take a look at the Vanderbilt offense when they're on the field going up against this defense for Texas, and we know this Texas defense has been absolutely lights out. It has not been the defensive side of the ball that has struggled. So Vandy's scoring offense looks like this. And if you hear that sound in the background, that is me getting a alert. I typically have those turned off, but it was imperative that I kept that on. So Vandy comes in with an adjusted 36.6 points per game, 7.4 yards per play. Uh, Absolutely phenomenal on third downs over and their drives ending with touchdowns, folks. This is what I want to highlight as far as the offense. 41% of their drives are ending with a touchdown. This team is very balanced as far as their yardage goes. 171 yards per game on the ground, adjusted 201 yards per game passing. The Texas Longhorn offense, 27 points per game, 27 and a half points per game, 4.9 yards per play, and 38% of their drives are ending with touchdowns. A little bit more yardage per game, 231 yards per game on the ground, about 257 through the air. Now, defensively, this is where we're going to see a little bit of difference here. The Vanderbilt defense allowing adjusted 21 points per game, 4 yards per play, doing a phenomenal job on third downs, and their opponents drives ending with a touchdown, 24.5%. Now, Texas, 14.6 per game allowed, 14.6 per game allowed, 5.1 yards per play. About 32% is what their opponents are converting on third downs. But here's the biggest problem for me: drives ending with a score much higher, adjusted 41%. That is not where you want to see the Longhorns there. So, and if you go back and look at it, they've been involved in some games where some teams have been able to put up some points. Florida was able to put up 29 points. And last week, Mississippi State was able to put up 28 points. So that's something we absolutely factor into the breakdowns here. All right, let's get to the keys to victory for both teams here. For Vanderbilt, their first key is they must win early downs with ground efficiency. Stay on schedule, especially if that rain starts to pick up there. Key number 2, hit calculated and calibrated shot plays to leverage explosiveness against that Texas secondary, especially with Michael Taft, their All-American candidate at safety, being unavailable for this game. And then key number 3, lean late game fatigue edge here. We know that Texas has played in overtime in back-to-back weeks. A lot of plays on that defense. Haven't had a bye week in quite a while. You want to shorten the game, limit possessions, and absolutely wear out that Texas defense. Get them late in the third quarter and having to tackle your ball carriers late in this contest. See if you can't pop one when they are absolutely fatigued. And then for Texas, Arch Manning, game time decision, as I was just getting a notification there, game time decision in this contest. So for Texas, you must control the line of scrimmage against this Vandy elite rush defense with formational answers and RPO tags. Key number 2, target the intermediate window, that 10 to 15 yard range there behind the linebackers in front of the safeties is where you want to attack this Commodore defense. Stay ahead of the chains and avoid that fourth down stress that we know that Sark has been known to fall victim to. And then finally, manage the fatigue with rotation and tempo moderation. Do not overextend this defense. So it's imperative that that offense maintains some continuity and stays on the field. I think that this is going to be a fantastic matchup. Cannot wait to watch it. And then finally, in our game of the week, we welcome in the Oklahoma Sooners, Boomer Sooner, to take on Go Big Orange in the Tennessee Volunteers. Folks, I can't stress this enough. This is a loser leave town matchup. Shout out to the late, great Gordon Soley there with that reference. In this matchup, the loser is absolutely 100% out of the college football playoffs, and a lot of questions will start to be asked about the losing head coach in this matchup. And certainly if it is Brent Venables, who has not gotten off to a great start there in Oklahoma. Clock is ticking, and I have gone on record as saying this. If Brent Venables does not get the Oklahoma Sooners to the college football playoffs, questions will be asked of his tenure at the end of the season. Beautiful Neyland Stadium, 2:30 p.m. kickoff, and the Vol Navy will be on full attack mode as they get ready for this matchup here. Weather will not be a factor. I think we're looking at a contest where both teams come in equally fatigued, as it's been 33 days since Oklahoma's last bye week, right before the Red River contest. Tennessee, 26 days. So no big rest fatigue advantage, I should say, in this contest. Let's go ahead and get right to the coaching breakdown here. Brent Venables and Josh Heupel. Since the 2023 season, Brent Venables still highly ranked as he comes in as our 19th ranked head coach, but with a 22-10 record. Solid but inconsistent is the tag that we have under his name. Josh Heupel, 21st in our rankings, 24-9, including a college football playoff appearance. 73% win percentage during that stretch. Strong coaching tag coming into this contest. Here's where I get a little bit nervous in this contest. Since the 2023 beginning of the 2023 season, in one-score games, Brent Venables is 6-4. Josh Heupel, 6-2. Big time difference there. As far as going up against quality opponents, both coaches slightly above 50% there. Now, as far as the season goes, Brent 1-1 in those high pressure games, while Heupel is 2-3. Now, games against quality opponents, Heupel this season 3-2. Brent 3-1 so far. As far as play styling, as far as play calling style goes, this year especially, Venables more balanced, about 51% run, while Tennessee, same can be said, about 52% run. Now, let's get into the record for both teams. Oklahoma comes in with a 6-2 record. We have them with a deserved record of 4-4. So, two of those wins we deemed very lucky there for Boomer Sooner. Same can be said for the Vols. 6-2 record. We also have them with a deserved record of 4-4. So, neither team has an advantage in that area. As far as their record in their last three games, Oklahoma 1-2. While Tennessee 2-1. Previous opponent, Tennessee absolutely dominated Kentucky, winning that game very handily. While we know that Ole Miss was able to get that win in Norman over Oklahoma. And like I said, with both teams in a win or go home, neither team can be looking ahead in this ball game, and both teams are on a bye next week. So really nothing to be looking ahead to there. Now, plays per game. Ben Arbuckle, new offensive coordinator for the Oklahoma Sooners, have gotten this team to about an average tempo at about 68 plays per game. Tennessee about 69 plays per game, so no big advantage there. Both teams throwing the ball about 34 times per game there. And both teams running the ball about 30, let's call it 34 times per game. So as far as the play style goes, neither team has a really big advantage in this contest. Now, let's get to this matchup with Oklahoma's offense, with them going up against this Tennessee defense. Oklahoma's offense, scoring-wise, 45th there in that metric. While Tennessee scoring defense has not really been impressive, to say the least there. Tennessee ranks outside of our top 100 there with the 109th best scoring defense. And that's when we adjust for opponent. And when you look at it, they've given up some big numbers here, 26 to a very bad Syracuse team. Gave up 44 to Georgia, yes, in overtime. 24 points to a UAB team. 34 points to a Mississippi State team. 31 to Arkansas. 37 to Alabama. And yes, despite their offense scoring 56 last weekend against Kentucky, defense gave up 34 points there. So 119th adjusted scoring defensive rank, very justified in that metric. Now, surprisingly enough, despite Oklahoma's rushing numbers, we still think that this team should be running the ball a little bit better than what they have been absolutely doing thus far. And we saw them put up some really good rush numbers when Mateer was healthy. We'll see if that can continue. Now, they're going up against a really solid rush defense for Tennessee. And when I say solid, I mean a rush defense that puts them very, very high in the metrics there. As far as Oklahoma's pass offense, they're going to lean heavily on the pass game, and they're going to have to. Now, can Mateer get that pass game going? Is that hand healthy enough to get it going? That's something we're going to have to watch out for. Tennessee's pass defense, we're going to find out a little bit more about this pass defense here, because what we have them adjusted as far as a tier goes may not bear completely fruitful. So something to keep in mind in this ball game. Now, let's talk about the team strength as far as the offense goes. Oklahoma's offense comes in averaging about 26 adjusted points per game, 7 yards per play, very solid on third downs. In their passing game, probably is going to have to be their strong suit in this contest, because I don't know how well their rushing offense is going to be able to perform in this contest. Let's take a look at Tennessee's defense. Tennessee's defense giving up 33 points per game, 6.6 yards per play. Wow. And Tennessee's opponents drives in with a score for 43% of the time, drives in with a touchdown 25% of the time. So 1 out of every 2 of their drives are ending with a touchdown. Now, as far as Tennessee's offense comes in averaging about 37 points per game, 5 yards per play, solid third downs. We talked about the balanced run and pass there. Highly effective drives ending with a touchdown there. As far as Oklahoma's defense, 14 points per game, but we saw what Ole Miss was able to do to this defense. 3.8 yards per play. We'll see if they're going to be able to maintain that as well. And very solid as far as opponents' drives ending with a touchdown. So that'll be something to absolutely bear in mind. So what are the keys for both teams in this winner takes a step towards keeping their playoff hopes alive? Let's start with the Sooners. First key is they must execute on early third down success versus this really good Tennessee front seven as far as the rush defense go. Red zone touchdown rate. Oklahoma is going to have to get in the red zone, and they're going to have to find a way to punch it in instead of some of those costly turnovers we saw against Texas in the Red River shootout there. And then finally, got to maintain protection under pressure. Tennessee is going to bring the blitz. It's going to be imperative that Oklahoma's young freshman offensive tackles, bookend tackles, hold up in the passing game. Ben Arbuckle should not be allergic to putting a tight end on the line of scrimmage and serve as a sixth blocker. Go to a 6-man and occasionally 7-man protection and ask your wide receivers to win one-on-one on the outside and not put so much pressure on your offensive lineman trying to get 5 men out into the pattern each and every time. For Tennessee, win havoc. Tackles for loss, sacks, force Oklahoma into known passing downs will absolutely be key in this contest. Key number 2 for Tennessee is they must force Oklahoma into field goal attempts in red zone situations. And then finally, for Tennessee is they must use the crowd and pace to sustain momentum. As we kind of saw with Ole Miss last weekend, don't take the foot off the gas in this contest for no reason. If Tennessee is able to do those 3 things, they could walk out of Neyland with their playoff hopes still intact. If not, Boomer Sooner gets to survive for another week. Folks, that is our show for this week. Want to say thank you to my fantastic team, as always, doing a tremendous job as my voice starts to kind of lose steam here, but wanted to get through this show. Also, as we get ready to go into honoring all of our veterans here over the next week, personally want to say a thank you to all of my family members, both past and present, who have served in one of the branches of our military, and a special thank you to all of our brave men and women, whether they're serving stateside or around the globe. Thank you from a very grateful host here, and as always, please come home safely whenever your time is to be back stateside. God bless you all and enjoy week 10 of the college football season.